This week, coming up from the ashes.
There are going to be spoilers in this. So anybody that is watching or listening to this, just know we're reviewing Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man that was on Disney Plus, and we are going to be spoiling a lot of things because we're talking about the whole first season. So, you guys want to say anything about before we get started? Like about first of all, did you like the series?
Before we get into the series itself, I think it's high time that we discuss a huge elephant in the room. Some pretty big news.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to From the Ashes podcast. I'm Phoenix, and with me is our new lineup, which it's not really new because it's Grim and Arson. But this week starts our 3-man crew. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Arson's still
What
asleep.
he said.
He wanted 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
But as the airing of this is on Monday, this is Cinco de Mayo. So
I hate Mondays.
well, you know, we've got 2 things that happen. We've got the 4th, which is of course May the 4th be with you, or you know, somewhat of a Star Wars day. I put that in quotation marks. And then we got Revenge of the 5th and Cinco de Mayo. And of course it's a Monday, so we don't like Mondays. We're a big believer in the Garfield way of thinking. So, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, yeah, so today starts our new lineup. As I said it before, Grim is this week and he'll be back, and he originally, like regularly, he'll be back pretty much every other week. Pretty much. But you know, so today we're deciding that we're gonna go over a show that came out at the beginning of the year in January, and there are going to be spoilers in this. So anybody that is watching or listening to this, just know we're reviewing Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man that was on Disney Plus, and we are going to be spoiling a lot of things because we're talking about the whole first season. So, you guys want to say anything about before we get started? Like about first of all, did you like the series?
Before we get into the series itself, I think it's high time that we discuss a huge elephant in the room. Some pretty big news. GTA 6 has been delayed yet again.
Oh, was it?
Indeed.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what Rockstar said. This is they could put it out whenever they want because they don't have anybody that competes against them. So, we'll do whatever we want. Basically, is what they said.
It's basically a split down the base where people are just like, yeah, just keep working on it, and then the other half is just like, I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it looks good from what I've seen, but also, GTA or Rockstar has picked up the whole thing. They may have been leading the charge on this from the start about you need to pay what the game is worth instead of what a set price, and they brought that was like last year they talked about that. And of course, Nintendo is deciding to pick that up and run with it. So, there's that. So, yeah.
Nintendo executed it, and now I don't even want to know what it's gonna freaking cost.
$300.
I hate all parties involved.
Yeah. It's gonna be like $300 for GTA 6.
Gonna be $350.
$350?
Oh, you mean $3.50? No, $350.
But yeah, that is a
And
big
Gonna
elephant.
take your. We're also going to take your Roth IRA accounts.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
Savings? What are those? Give them here.
Yeah. Companies are getting too greedy with that stuff. Like, I was thinking back because I've been playing a game called Lunar, the Silver Star Saga or story, and when I bought that when it first came out, I'm pretty sure it was about $40 maybe. And of course, like the remastered version, granted they came with it both games, but it was $50 for that. It was like, man, like, people just, and that's, considered cheap in the gaming world, it seems like nowadays, unless it's like an indie game. But
that's kind of how it was back then. Like with games, they were pretty expensive.
well, yeah, $40 was expensive then,
Yeah.
That's like toys, like action figures. Like I remember, and I say this because I'm a collector of like He-Man action figures and whatnot. Back in the day, He-Man action figures were like $5, and now they're like $20 for pretty much the same thing, except for it has a little bit more articulation to it and stuff like that. It's just like, man, same mold, everything.
Dude, this is a whole nother rant I'm about to go on. So the 3/4 inch Star Wars figures, right?
Uh-huh.
When Star Wars The Clone Wars first came out, you could get one for $10. And you want to know what they sell for now?
Probably about
15 to 20.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh.
Well, that's because
very irritating.
That's because the toy market no longer like goes to like targets the kid. They target collectors now. And that's why. So when you sit there and pay 20 like $40, I had, certain things like accessories, like say like He-Man's Battle Cat was like $40. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like ridiculous. But anyways, we're 100% going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, we got way off topic. But at least we weren't on topic to begin with.
That's true.
We need to save this for another episode as well, because I have a lot of things to say on that. Anyway.
I would say maybe in 2 weeks, but you're not going to be with us. So
it's called small talk.
It's called what?
It's called small talk. Maybe you should, get used to it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, all right. So getting back on track, we are going to be talking about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And again, before we completely get started, no one else is going to interrupt. There are spoilers in this. So first, let me get back to my original question. Did you guys like the show? Just a quick, brief answer. Yes, no.
As a whole, yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
Okay. What about you, Arson?
It was garbage. No, I'm just kidding. It was fun.
Well, mine's a little bit of both. I like it, but I think, yeah, we'll get into that. I wanted to stick to a basic answer. There you go. So basically, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man explores Peter Parker's origin story and early days of using the Spider-Man persona. So let's just start this off. It is in the MCU, but it is an alternate timeline within the MCU or the multiverse. And that's pretty much the beginning of it. The show opens up with Peter Parker late for school, and it's kind of funny because when I was watching that first episode, I was just thinking he was already Spider-Man, and I think that they wanted you to think that. So
yeah, they do the fake out with the sandwich.
Yeah. Well, the oatmeal. It's the oatmeal.
Oh, it was oatmeal. My bad.
Yeah. So she puts oatmeal in his bag because he's running late, and it's in a like a Ziploc bag, and And when he gets late for his bus or his train, he's like, "Oh crap!" And then he goes to open up his backpack, and you're thinking, "Oh, there it is." And then, nope, that's not it. But he is starting his first day of freshman year, and he is going to Midtown, which is famous for Spider-Man. Which I think it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about this when I was rewatching it, the Midtown whole thing, because in the movies he goes to Midtown High, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. And so Midtown, they literally cut that out by crashing it down, and then he has to go to somewhere else. And I thought that was kind of interesting the way they did that. So they made it different from the very beginning, obviously. I didn't put two and two together until I started rewatching again the other day. But so he gets there. Craziness ensues as you see a portal open up, and a horrible version. I'm sorry. Grim, do you want to talk about your favorite character remade?
Okay. Number 1, that is not Venom. Number 2, that is not a Clintar. Number 3, that is just an excuse. That is an excuse to have a movie monster. As an alien, as just a standard alien run-of-the-mill thing, it looks fine. I think it looks pretty good.
So let me ask you a question.
For that to be what?
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that I don't think it is because of the last episode, but do you think that Venom or the symbiote was like basically on top of something else, or do you think that was just they're making it that it is Venom's form? Basically, do you understand what I was saying?
I think it's implied that is the form that the symbiote took. That it's not like bonded with anything. I think that's what's implied.
Well, it's more than implied when you get to the last episode.
Yeah. Like as a design, I do think it looks good. I think it looks fine. I do like how alien and weird it looks. It's just that it's such a stark contrast to what the Clintars are supposed to be,
Yeah.
And like, to be fair, we haven't really seen like any adaptations that change the Clintar all that much. So maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe I'll like it more as time goes on. But for now, I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's a great way to introduce the symbiotes.
Yeah, I agree. But see, when you see him come out, then you see Doctor Strange come out right behind him, and they're like fighting it up, and stuff happens, and then all of a sudden, like the spider, like the spider towards the end, just kind of like dangles from the top of the portal, and then when this portal closes, it falls on Peter, and then of course, that's the part I do not like. But again, this is they fix everything by saying that it is a alternate reality, basically alternate universe of how Spider-Man got his powers. So the spider bites him, and bada boom, bada bing. He turns into Spider-Man, has a weird suit with this, like, I don't know. I like the homemade suit, okay? But it's weird how they gave him, like, how he shoots his webbing and stuff. I thought that was kind of weird, but it makes sense because
the tanks.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I actually really like the canisters.
Yeah, the canisters with the tank. It honestly gives it like that more like rugged
homemade feel.
Big time homemade feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's like probably one of the most
honestly
biggest homemade suits we've had in a long time. Like the last that I can remember is like Amazing Spider-Man 1. Like that suit was like 100% homemade.
And I think that they took a little bit of inspiration from that too. But with the tank, and it was just looked awkward. And granted, it should have been, but I did like it, but it was just it just looked bulky and awkward. Like, how did he move around like he did with it?
I was gonna say, in terms of design, it's honestly, like, out of every single homemade suit I can think of, it's actually my favorite. I love how it looks.
So
yeah, I know universally everybody's favorite, like almost everybody's favorite homemade suit is either like the Raimi one or like the
See, I don't like the
Homecoming
I didn't either.
Or like the Homecoming one, but like the Homecoming one it felt like it was cool, but like I felt like the the lenses were too much with like them being actually able to like, close, focus and all that. It was cool, but like in terms
they should
of
have
like
just been goggles,
Yeah, they should have just been goggles, like
Well, the thing that creeped me about the Raimi one, it was funny because whenever Peter smiled, it showed in the mask, and it was like, oh gosh, like when he beat Macho Man or Bonesaw McGraw or whatever his name was.
Again, I think that just adds to like I think that just adds more to the charm of it being like a homemade.
I
like,
guess
that's fair. That's
I
fair.
guess, but
it's the more realistic, but
yeah. Well, now that we're talking about it, to be honest, I think that probably is one of my favorite suits too. Like homemade suits is the new one. It's awkward, but it's supposed to be. It's just funny, because but the thing is later on it takes away the brilliance of Peter designing his web shooters, and I think it's like he did design the tanks, which is fine, and I'm sure Norman Osborn decided to take precedence from that, but. I mean, it kind of like, I mean, that's Peter's, thing. But anyways, we'll get into that. So yeah, also what this series does is introduce another guy. And I think they kind of it's not really introduces, but like you don't know who he is at first unless you're a comic book fan. And his name is Lonnie Lincoln.
Lonnie, oh, I love Lonnie. He's actually just become like one of my like favorite characters.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Lonnie is there's like a huge like throughout the whole 10 episodes
it's a whole side story.
Well, they show a parallel to each other, like Spider-Man and Lonnie. Like literally, they're growing together as they're doing this, and like there's sometimes where they split it off, like right back to back when they're doing stuff. To show that like stuff is happening to Lonnie as it is to Spider-Man, and it's just like, wow. But if you guys don't know who Lonnie Lincoln is, he becomes one of Spider-Man's villains, and then kind of reformed, I think, as of now, isn't he? Is he reformed right now?
He's reformed.
He reformed in Spider-Man 2 he does. Yeah, I don't know about the comics, but
I don't remember in the comics, but yeah, in the game, he in the Sony PS5 game, he did reform. So I'm gonna go by that, and especially with the story that we're being told now with this. What do you guys think of the animation? I know we've talked about it before, but I will say this real quick. I love the animation that they brought into this because it's so like it reminds me of comics and it reminds me of the original series that they created back in the 60s. I really like it. Anyways, Arson, go first.
The animation, it's good. It's good when it's in motion, like Grim said. The standstill images like of it made it look kind of awkward, but like once you like see it more in motion and you just kind of like put that to the side.
Yeah,
it really is like a good charming show. It really does. They do like to take a lot of the aesthetics from the Silver Age, which I really do appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
There are some times when it does look awkward. It's not perfect, but like it's fine. Like people ragged on it way too much, and it ended up just being fine. It wasn't like a huge deal. It did what it sought to do. Nothing more, nothing less. And,
man,
I'm happy with it. Really, it didn't really bother me in the beginning much either. It did look awkward, but like it wasn't the end of the world.
Man, from the beginning, I thought it was nice looking. Like even from the stills and stuff, I was like, wow, they're going in a more comic book esque type of thing. And to add on to the 67 Spider-Man series, like they even used the original theme song from it remixed. Like they start off with the original Spider-Man theme song. But all right, Grim, what do you think? I know Arsa kind of stepped on your toes because he already said what you said, but go ahead.
Yeah, a little bit. But like, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think in stills, it looks kind of wonky. In motion, it does look pretty good. There are like you said, there are a few moments that's like a little but I mean that's negligible at best. I the art style itself isn't really my favorite. Like I like the Silver Age comic art style, but it's not my favorite, right? But I will say, it looks good in motion. I love the remix of the Amazing Spider-Man theme. That like the first time I heard that, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot."
It was really neat the way they did that.
Well, speaking of the intro as well, I love how nearly every single episode intro was dynamic. As the episodes continue, like his suit changed, and
like the comic book art at the end.
They gave the comic book covers and stuff.
Book art at the end, and like when Norman was introduced, he appeared like on the tower as well, like his face.
Yeah,
like I love that. I love when the intro evolves with the as like the show progresses. That was really cool. I love that.
I like to skip the intros of most things, but this I liked because of the way it did that. Like for real.
Mm-hmm.
And that's saying something. But to talk a little bit more about the animation style, it says, I read that it says the creative team was free to develop an animation style that differed from the previous series, like What If and X-Men 97, because they didn't want to. They wanted to avoid copying one of the many the different animation styles, and that's including the Spider-Verse and everything else. So they wanted to pay homage by using that comic book style from the Amazing Spider-Man. And I thought that was good. And like you guys said, stills can be a little wonky, but in the long run, I really dig it. Like I really do. And you talk about the covers, like I know when the suit gets trashed, and they kind of pay homage to that Identity Crisis cover, where he trashes his suit.
Spider-Man no more.
Yes, I love that cover. I thought that was really cool. The way they did that. But anyway, sorry, because it seemed like at the end of every episode, or at the end of every intro, was the comic book that paid homage to one of the famous, like the first one was when he saved, it was like Amazing Fantasy 15, but instead it was Harry Osborn in his arm, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, sorry, what were you gonna say, Grim?
It's funny you actually mentioned the Spider-Verse art style, because that's what it makes me think of. Like it's so weird seeing Silver Age comics kind of like in motion.
Yeah.
That like your eyes kind of have to like adjust to it, and that's how it was with Spider-Verse. Like just with how Spider-Verse was animated, it really took me like a good like 20 minutes to really like kind of lock in on the animation style and like not see it as like super choppy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like after that, it like just it felt way nicer to look at.
Well, the Spider-Verse, it feels like a 3D version of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, kind of, almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're going for a 2D like esque version in this, which like I said, I really like. There is. But yeah, I understand. It did take a little bit getting used to as well. But I really did like it. But yeah, so back to the series, or back to the episodes. So Peter Parker's got his homemade suit. He's trying to navigate life as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and he does it like he always does. They replace like his best friend, which this is interesting. Nico, I had no idea that she was an original character brought in from the TV show Runaways.
No, the thing is, I already knew who Nico was, and the only reason that me and Grim know who Nico is because we played Midnight Suns, where she's like one of your first party members that you can have while you play the game. And honestly, I loved her in that game. I loved her. I loved like every character in that game, honestly. But like, Nico is definitely an interesting one. Especially because like one, I didn't know who the heck she was, and two, I really really love how her powers work. If I remember correctly, she can never use the same spell twice. So like she always comes up with like little different like mini like side incantations. So like I think if she changes like the word even a little bit, like she can she can like use it, which is really interesting. And I that's such a fascinating power.
Do you think they'll work that into season 2?
Maybe, I don't know. Like I know that she has like her whole like magical amulet and
Yeah.
everything. And like that's still being developed, which I hope they take their time and do it right.
Yeah, because we don't find out anything about her until the last episode, to be honest. So,
but to like to make her like one of the main cast was definitely an interesting choice. Like I'm not complaining. I know a lot of people would have rather had like the classic just Harry, and all that.
Yeah.
Or maybe since it is like a spin-off of like the main MCU, they don't have Ned in there somewhere, but like it was just Nico there from the beginning, which is like I'm interested to see where it turns out.
It's interesting you say that, because I took a screenshot and I'm going to load this up to the D&D text, the podcast text.
And I want you that'll be very
yes,
that'll be very necessary and interesting for Sunday's session.
I want you to take a look on the right-hand side, fourth name down. And that proves to you,
right? I remember this. Yeah, Ned is on the board.
That proves to you he's in the universe. But because I'm assuming because Peter didn't go to that high school and ended up going to Rockford Bales, he never really met Ned. Maybe.
Yeah.
So because he never even made it into the high school, like they literally didn't even make it inside.
Yeah, I do wonder if they are going to do anything with it. They might. I feel like they have to, but like until then, we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's some interesting names on that list. If you look at it, like for real. But I'm not gonna go into that. So the first episode ends, second episode begins, and basically, Peter accepted a internship that was offered to him at the end of the first episode. It was right then and there. At Oscorp, he accepted it with 3 others, which is Jean and Asha and Amadeus Cho. Amadeus Cho. Anybody that listens to comics or reads or watches stuff should know who Amadeus Cho is. He's become a big name. He's done a lot of different things inside the Marvel universe, including being a Spider-Man and a Hulk. So, but it was yeah, it really is. Like he's the Hulk because he perfected it and became like the genius Hulk, basically. Like he kept his conscience inside of the monster, so it was pretty interesting. So yeah, that the second episode starts, and you're introduced to those guys. You're also introduced to a female version of Dr. Connors, which I'm just gonna tell you guys now, the one thing I did not like about this show, like I don't like about a lot of shows, is how they gender swap and how they race swap, and they did that in this. Even if it is a alternate reality, Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn, they were race swapped. Dr. Connors is now Carla Connors.
Grim, why are you smiling?
I mean, she's still a doctor, but
yeah. But I just was not a big fan of that. It worked okay with me because I put it in a different, mindset. Like, okay, this is a different alternate universe. Let's just hopefully, let's just see how this works out. And I was going into this with not very high hopes, but I really did like the series. But like I said, as we go through the second episode, we were introduced to more people. Well, Pearl was Peter's love interest in this, which she was introduced in first episode, but in the second episode, we find Spider-Man, which this is funny. Like there's this guy, an arsonist named Butane, who was hired to destroy this building, right? And he's like, it was like for an insurance scam or whatever. So he's like destroying this building, and Peter comes in, Spider-Man comes in, and he's like going around trying to save all the pets in the pet store. Which is great. I love it. I love it. Even the fish. He's like, oh no,
don't die.
And then he gets Butane subdued, and he's basically like, what, didn't he do the wrong building? Wasn't it the wrong street?
Yeah. he was flaming up the wrong building.
Yeah, he's like, this is an abandoned building. No, it's not. This is 32nd Street. No, this is 23rd Street, or whatever. Like, oh, my bad. So the big thing that happened in this episode was Peter was working at Oscorp, and he saw the burning building and went and changed into Spider-Man in the stairwell, and perfectly planted, apparently right there was a camera put there by Norman Osborn. Nobody else has access to that camera for that stairwell. What makes that stairwell so special? I have no idea. But he saw he put on the Spider-Man suit, and that's kind of how we end that episode. Is he goes up to Norman's Osborn Norman's Osborn. I'm an idiot. Norman's office, and he's like, "Hey, look," and he's like, "Uh-oh," and it is. That's pretty cool. I mean, the way they did that. I just don't know. The next episode really makes me sick. To be honest, I hate it that Norman talks Peter into basically Norman becomes his mentor, and I hate it. I do not like that at all. What are your guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Grim.
Okay. Well, I just want to go back to the whole race swapping thing. I normally would agree if it mattered, right? Like, in this context, it doesn't matter. It like there's no reason why Norman or Harry should be white in this context. You know what I mean? There's no reason that Kirk Connors can't be a woman in this context. But like obviously like with the How to Train Your Dragon thing, right? Like that thing,
Yeah.
That makes sense because that's actually based in, whatever it is. I was gonna say Norway, but I don't know if that's right or not.
Norway.
Yeah, but like, see, that if it's important to the actual setting, then yes, I don't think it should really be like miffed with at all. But for this, doesn't really matter at all, and I don't mind it at all.
You know what doesn't bother me though is they race swapped Matt Gargan, and that didn't bother me at all.
Well, he's been race swapped before though.
Yeah, well, I know that
race swapped plenty of times. Even in the main MCU when he was, I forgot the actor's name, but like he played Voss from Far Cry 3. Like he was supposed to be Scorpion, but we all know how that turned out. Nothing ever really came of it.
But I really like the Scorpion character in this series, mainly because they didn't make him a pretty much a blithering idiot. Like Scorpion in most like comic books and whatnot, he's just an idiot. Like he's he's not even a B villain to me. He's like a C villain. Like Spider-Man wraps him up at the beginning. Like, okay, well we're good. Let's move on to Venom or Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Like Scorpion's just a laughable joke to me.
Nobody.
Yeah. And in this, they made him relevant. Like, I think that they did a really good job with that. And to make him the leader of a gang, was pretty awesome. And of course, the gang's name was the Scorpions, but but their biggest rivals was the 110 gang, the 110th Street gang, basically. And we see Lonnie because of his brother his brother tries to join. He is in the 110 gang, or 110 Street gang, and he basically takes his place. And Lonnie has. I love the way they did Lonnie because, man, Lonnie was this very, very smart guy that had a lot going for him. He was the star quarterback, and scouts coming to look at him, and then all of a sudden his brother screwed it up for him. And
that was just barely like the football thing was like his main thing and all that, but he still had like a lot more. Like now Peter was helping him with like all of his academics. He had a girlfriend, which was I forgot her name already.
Pearl.
You
Pearl.
literally just said it, yeah, Pearl. And like it was all good. He was really going up, and then like everything happened,
mucked
and
it
then,
all up.
Yeah, it all started going on a serious downcline to where like Peter never really realized how bad it got until it was like way too deep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the time Peter realizes, it's literally like when he fights Scorpion, pretty much. Like, what are you doing here?
The path is already set.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and by then, he's already helped out the Big Donovan, or Big Don is what they call him, and he's become
coward.
Yeah, that big coward at the end, that the 9th episode or whatever, where he just like I'm done, I'm out of here. But
to be fair, if I saw that, this is a little side tangent. I'm surprised that, one, they show so much straight up dying in the show, and two, they show so much blood in the show, because I mean it's meant to be a kids show, right?
Yeah.
But
is it,
I guess not anymore.
Is it?
But I can't say I necessarily blame him if I saw some roided up dude with a literal mechanical scorpion tail just impale one of my guys, they were, a shish kebab.
I mean, that was
a douche canoe for like leaving, but
that was like before he ran away though. Like he saw one of his dudes get stabbed, and then in the following episode when they start losing, that's when he decides he's just gonna leave.
Well, they decide to go get that.
That's when he bounces, right.
Yeah, they decide to jack that truck.
To power up, with all of Doc Ock's inventions.
And that's when Lonnie gets hit with that gas, and to be fair, he didn't get hit with that gas until after Donovan left. So, so basically, I just
I'll mention.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, you completely broke up for a second. What'd you say?
Yeah, you broke up.
I was gonna say I'll mention one thing, and then I'll let Assassin. And then I'll let Assassin say it. Okay. I don't mind that. Mind that. Peter's mentor. I really don't mind.
You don't mind that Norman is Peter's mentor?
Nope.
Yeah. So Grim, you keep breaking up a lot. Let me go to Arson real quick, because I want to ask him about this. What do you think of that suit that okay, so it's kind of funny, okay? In one episode they go through trial and error of different suits. Like Norman's literally trying to make him anything but Spider-Man. Like anything.
I feel like that was a jab at back then during Spider-Man's early inception.
Yeah.
Where like, nobody cares about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then finally they realized we need Spider-Man.
Yeah. So what do you think of that first suit that was created that was literally the Spider-Man suit?
Oh,
I've been waiting for this.
Foundation suit?
Yes, I've been waiting for this. Like for this moment for you to talk about this, because I know your thoughts on it. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, I already ragged on it back in, what was it? I think it was the Spider-Man episode.
Yeah.
It's just like they create such a banger suit with like the homemade one, like the takes and everything. Like, okay, yeah, it's not exactly like the most standout design, because homemade suits are always going to be wonky. But when you make an official suit, like, it's not that hard to just kind of make your own design. Like
right.
people do it literally every day with fan art. Like they make some crazy suits. Like even like the main media, like all the suits like are unique in one way or another, even if they're not that great.
Mm-hmm.
But like just to take an already existing suit and then just kind of slap it on to like in different context, because the origins for the Foundation suit and I guess the Osborn suit are really different.
Right. Yeah.
But it's what we got, and like at the end of the day, if I'm being honest, it's fine. Like the suit looks fine. It's just the problem is that it's not
Norman's.
original. It's not his. Like
Yeah.
maybe in universe, like oh cool suit, but like to all of us nerds out there, that is like one of the biggest sins you could commit.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah. So it's just funny because you go through all that stuff, and I think it was what episode 4, but in episode 3 you get the baddies in that were basically a couple that got some high-tech gloves and boots. One made the guy run really fast, and the high-tech gloves were just like pretty powerful, and they couldn't be
Strength.
yeah, so they couldn't be together though because it like messed up their whatever. So Spider-Man figured it out. Well, actually Norman helped figure it out.
Yeah,
Even
he
though
was this guy in the chair.
yeah, even though Peter wasn't sure about like being with Norman at this time, but after that he was like, okay, let's do this. Let's partner up. So in the 3rd episode, they talk about the Sokovia Accords, which I thought that was pretty cool because they brought up something that happened in the MCU, but that was the big entrance of Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
and he wasn't there for that. So you know when this is all happening because like the timeline because of the the Sokovia Accords and all that stuff. And I thought that was really interesting how they were talking about the different things that happened in there and everything. And then they, of course, this is just a little side note, but so Norman goes to what's his face?
Maze?
Huh?
Or is it Ock or
No.
or
It's
when he goes,
the
when he
general,
goes to
Secretary of State. What's his name?
Oh, General Ross.
Ross. He goes to Ross and says, I know, to be fully upfront, I want to let you know that this is Spider-Man and his identity is this guy, but it's not. And so, and at that time, he, around that time, Oscorp gets broke into, and we are introduced to, who are we introduced to, guys?
Daredevil.
And Daredevil is actually voiced by Charlie Cox. So I thought that was pretty cool that they brought him in to voice Daredevil. Why Daredevil was there, we did not know. He just said that, Norman's hiding something. Yeah. But it was a really good battle, and then Spider-Man's he's like, holy crap, we're really high. And he's like, this is an awesome battle. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, it's just kind of funny the way that they pointed that out and everything like that. But yeah.
Going back to like the Sokovia Accords really quick. I think it's pretty funny how they did like the parallel, like back in the Civil War when it was Tony that went to like Aunt May's, but like instead of him, it was Norman.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that was pretty nice.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I really did enjoy that parallel, or like how they put them side by side and everything, and it was pretty interesting. One thing I will say that's just random, like, okay, so Spider-Man, when he's flying around, he's always looking at his phone, or you'll see him look at his phone, and throughout the whole time, which is funny to me. Throughout the whole time in the first season, his screen is always shattered, like always. It's just hilarious, just to like, oh man, like
it is a. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Grim.
I was gonna say it is a really nice touch. I do like that.
Yeah, the little. Go ahead.
The little stuff like that. Yeah, it's really nice.
Right. But yeah, I think it's a really good thing. So in that episode, we basically to test the suit that he was just put on, and he's trying to test it. These group of Russians, the 4 of them, stole some money and got in a big old van with what is it, a snow plow type of thing on the front, and it just crushes their way through. And I think it's funny, the dude that's in the driver's seat, I can't think of his name right now, but it's, to be fair, the guy's name is another version of Rhino. But I don't know if he's going to become Rhino in this, but I wouldn't put it past him. But they're always like, the one guy in the driver's the passenger seat was like, well, I'm the brains. He's like, I am the brains. And he's like, in everything he's saying about him, I am the wild card. And then and then the one chick just jumps out with the money when she knows they're gonna get busted, and he goes, well, I guess she was the wild card. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But I said that to say this: when she gets away and they get busted and thrown into jail, we are introduced into the person behind the tech that we've seen so far. And it's none other than 8 Arms himself before he was 8 Arms. And that's Dr. Otto Octavius.
In all of his Silver Age glory.
He looks so good. Like I really liked his design in here, because they really did pluck him straight out of Silver Age. Like 100%.
Like literally everything. Like he's kind of wide buff. He's not like, I think also the Raimi movies kind of popularized the more like slouchy kind of look for Doc Ock, while Silver Age, like Doc was like, he wasn't exactly like, the leanest guy, but he was buff.
Yeah.
He wasn't the guy you would laugh at, because not only could he crush you with those freaking, arms, but he could still punch you relatively hard.
Yeah. It's crazy. I love the way he looks. And by the way, I jumped way up far ahead about the whole duel with the devil, because that happened in episode 6. So, but anyways, I'm kind of jumping around here. I'm trying to remember as I go. But yeah, I think Dr. Otto Octavius looked really good. And then of course this is before his arms, and we don't even see him with his arms attached to him, at least. At all.
It's staged though.
Yeah. So the next episode, you see that Russian lady, what she got from Doc Ock is a helmet, and it kind of reminds you of like Rhino, which they kind of say something, and she was like, no, I am not the Rhino, I am basically a unicorn. And so hence the title of the episode, I think, is like The Unicorn Unleashed. Hold on.
I think it also had some like it had a prediction like thing, right, Grim? It had predicted what the opponent would do or something like that. At least that's what I remember. That's why she caught Spider-Man so easily, because like she had like a prediction thing. I think the thing is that was like Doc Ock's discount bin of like gadgets.
Oh, it had to have been. There's no way he would have sold his top of the line stuff.
No, absolutely not. He's the type of guy who, he deals in absolutes.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also dealing with an idiot, so I got this for that.
Yeah, he complained about how uncouth, how uncivilized,
Mm-hmm.
how I have to deal with these morons.
These barbarians.
Yeah.
And then I love how in one of the episodes he was grinding a game or something.
Yeah. He was grinding like a EXP glitch or something.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta keep mining
before the developers patch this.
It's hilarious to see like freaking Silver Age Doc Ock like playing modern.
He's a gamer.
Modern
Like
games. Yeah, he's a gamer.
It's so good. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And so Spider-Man faces off against this unicorn and defeats her with the help of I can't remember. It's Mikhail or something like that is the big dude.
Yeah.
Basically a big assist from
I was gonna say, yeah, because he did not get away unscathed, considering she was gonna shoot her like buddy.
Yeah,
and Spidey just sat there and tanked it.
Yeah. She didn't care. He saved them. I guess in some way he returned the favor, but he was like, all right, next time we see each other, it's
on site.
It makes sense from her point of view though, because if you're thinking like she is, Spider-Man's going out of his way to save people, so she knew he would do that, but
he still gambled that.
Yeah, exactly, and so when it happened, he was like, you could have killed me. and so he basically grabbed the helmet, and tossed it to Spider-Man or whatever. Spider-Man grabbed it from him with his web shooters. And basically Mikhail is upset. He's like, we're even with this because I helped you. He's like, if I see you again, he basically vowed revenge because he literally gets sent back to prison. So yeah. And, one thing we didn't talk about is how with Harry in this aspect, Harry basically as Spider-Man is like going through all these changes, trying to find different outfits and stuff like that. The final one that he used, which is, the white suit. I'm not going to call it the other thing because I'm not going to say it's that. He hops in and Harry finds out that it's actually Peter. So Peter's secret has been given up to both different versions of Green Goblin. So, but his secret's out to both Junior and Senior basically. And it's like, well, so now Harry's part of the team. He's the guy behind the mic and helping and stuff like that.
That was really honestly on Peter. What did he expect? Just walking into the main office of the boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and to be fair, like when he pops in, before he hops in, he said, before all that stuff happened, Norman tried to tell him like, hey, I got something going on. So let's meet. Let's connect later. and so before that happened, like he got cut off. And so as I watched it a second time, I caught that. I was like, huh, he was trying to warn him that that Harry was going to be in there. And then that was on Peter 100%, like you said. But it is what it is. He found out, which is not a bad thing, because now he has a little extra help out there behind the chair. And, but yeah. So
that's when another friendship starts blossoming.
Yeah, exactly. So remember we were talking about like parallels and stuff like that, like with Peter and Lonnie. So at the time that Peter was fighting the unicorn, we'll call her, Lonnie was on the other side, and he was forced to leave his football practice. So his world's changing completely, right? So they were going on a turf war against the Scorpions, and like at the beginning of the fight, like he just didn't really do anything. He was like kind of like, I mean, he'd be like any of us, He
saved Big Don.
But he
backstab.
Yeah. So Matt Gargan was going to he pulled out this little knife that oddly resembled a tail of a scorpion. And he he went to stab Big Don, and instead of getting Don, Lonnie jumped in the way and got stabbed in the arm, and he earned the respect of Big Don. And at the same time, Donovan's sitting there calling him superstar, and he's like, I hate that name. And they gave him the moniker Tombstone.
Tombstone.
And he was like, I like that.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast I was like, no, Lonnie.
Yeah.
Lonnie. No.
So yeah, but what happened in the next episode, which is the duel with the devil, where he meets up with Daredevil. He's out with Nico and Harry. They go back to his place, to Peter's place, to watch a movie, hang out, try to bond, try to get Nico to like Harry, which goes horribly.
It goes well because, like, Peter is the mediator.
Yeah.
But, like, once he leaves, then it gets really awkward.
It was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and to give credit where it's due, they still do try to bond, like Nico tries
the tarot
to do,
cards.
Yeah, the tarot card reading for, Harry. But, like, Harry unknowingly, like, is a little bit insensitive towards it because, he's not fully in it like, Nico is. So
yeah. Well,
that whole thing with Daredevil happens, and
Well, and then not only that, but like at the right there towards the end, you're sitting there and they're talking, and Nico's like, "Oh, we don't hide anything from each other." Oh, really?
And Harry's like, "Well, actually, does she know?"
Right.
Harry dropped the ball there. Although to be fair, like he was probably like, absolutely for certain that Nico basically already knew.
Yeah. Well, and then Peter comes back and Nico's all like, "Oh yeah, whatever. Like, you're Spider-Man." Tugs at his backpack, it falls open. Somehow it just falls open. And the Spider-Man, his notepad with his drawings and the mask falls out, and she was like, "You son of a," I gotta go home. So that's what we get with that. That's how basically the episode ends. Close to that. We also see towards the end, Lonnie is followed by Gargan's second in command, and they find out where the hideout is, basically. So
that's when the storm starts brewing.
Yeah. So the next episode's pretty much all about that. And also it's about Nico and Harry kind of bonding. So it's a little back and forth there.
Which I do like that a lot. Like, I love when with a main cast, I love when, like, the side characters or like the main characters, like all that. I love when they, like, can still exist and, like, still be people without needing the main character present.
I like the street race. I'm not
that
gonna
was
lie.
good. That was good stuff. Like, but like, yeah, I love that, like, the world still goes on, even when the main character isn't there. Like, a lot of shows, in games and stuff, like it's always about the main character for the most part.
Yeah.
But I really do love that, like, even when Peter's not there, like, this whole thing is still happening. This whole development, like, the character growth still happens. Like, it's great. I really love it.
And it's present throughout the whole first season. Like, it's not just like a couple scenes where they break off. It's like multiple times through each episode where they break off to talk to other characters and, to have their own side stories and stuff. And I love it. Like you, like Harry kind of gets through to Nico a little bit about, well,
him not having any friends.
Yeah. And because Nico judges Harry, because also what we didn't neglect to say is Harry in this is like, he's got his father's background, the riches and stuff, but he made his own path by becoming a huge online presence. He is, he's a big TikTok star or whatever.
pretty big far cry from his original counterpart, where he's just kind of like the neglected kid.
Yeah.
Which, like, to be fair, like, you know, the social media and all that wasn't a huge thing back then. So, like, you know, Harry really didn't have anything but, like, you know, Peter and MJ to, like, you know, feel normal.
Yeah.
As to where, like, this one is just like, you know, he has social media, he has a bunch of followers, but that's the thing, you know, he's still alone because
He's
even with all those
100%.
followers, he basically still has nobody.
Right.
So, like, it's still the case where, like, I feel like that's where it kind of splits, because Harry became evil from isolation, and then, you know, all this thing of, you know, Norman being the goblin and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, this Harry is more like, he's more gentle, because, like, even though, like, you know, his father still ignores him and all that, like, he still has something to do, unlike, you know, the other Harry. Like, he still has, like, his social media to tend to, and now, like, you know, he has new friends and all that. So, like, it's just kind of more like a gentle upbringing for Harry as a character, you know, which I am interested to see how that turns out as well.
I am too. There's a lot of aspects of this series that I'm looking forward to in season 2. Like, big time, because of how they left things. You know? But yeah, so during that episode, we talked about, you know, Nico and Harry. You know, Nico forgives Harry but doesn't forgive Peter because, you know, she feels completely betrayed. That doesn't happen until a little bit later, where she finally forgives. But at the same time, meanwhile, Lonnie's girlfriend gets which is Pearl, gets a message from Lonnie's brother saying, you know, I know where he really is, what he's really doing. You want to know? Let's talk.
What a cheeky little sod, man. Yeah, he caused nothing but problems.
Yeah, I want to throw him in a trash can and shake it around. Well, I hate that kid.
In a sense, though, the thing is like, you know, so he hates being in his brother's shadow. It's very well known. Like it's just a little thing that they, like, a little exchange they had on the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to, like, you know, to have his big bro, like, just take his place in, you know, the gang. Now he just feels even more overshadowed. So, like, yeah.
But not only that, but I think he also feels like it's his fault that he's going down this path. And granted, this was not addressed, so I cannot say for sure. But I feel like he reached out to Pearl to try to pull him back before he got too far in, which by that point he was way too far deep. Well, he was in too deep.
I feel like it was a mix of both, like, jealousy and, like, you know, him wanting to, like, just stop him.
Yeah.
You know, he's still a kid, you know, he doesn't really know too much, and that he probably unknowingly made the situation worse.
Yeah, and I think partially was also like, oh, I'm really gonna get in trouble for mom and dad. Like, I think it was more of that, you know. It may have been a mix, but yeah. So Pearl decides, like, Lonnie's brother tells Pearl where he is at, and Pearl shows up. Now, that's when everything just goes to crap. Like, big time. Because, you know, the
unknowingly, previously, Scorpion bought an upgrade from our dear old Doc Ock, and that's when they decided to storm the hideout.
Yes, and that's when we get to see Scorpion in his almost his full glory. I'd say it's, you know, not full glory, but it was probably the strongest that you'll see him face Spider-Man. I mean, to be honest,
I think the scariest thing about his suit is that I think it's powered by gamma energy. So yeah, it's not exactly something you want to go up against.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because the gamma energy plays a huge role later in this episode. So anybody want to talk about that fight in the 110th Street hideout?
Well, I think the only moment that really needs to be addressed is the poor guy who literally just got stabbed all the way through the chest.
The poor schmuck that got impaled.
Yeah, just absolutely murdered.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw that, it caught me so off guard, because I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's a kid show. Obviously, they're gonna have Spider-Man, you know, like, get a little bit of fight.
He's just gonna smack him on the side.
I saw that, and, like, you know the memes of, like, the characters when their eyeballs, like, bulge out of their head out of pure shock.
Yeah.
That was me. Like I was like, what? He's dead.
Dang, Scorpion! I didn't know you got down dirty like that.
All right, I didn't realize that this was not in the contract, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, another thing as well, like in that fight as well during the whole series, I love that they're actually using guns that use bullets.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because in most of every animated kid show or like anything like that, they always use lasers. Lasers or like you know some sort of special like projectile weapon. It's never bullets. But now we got bullets.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
More bullets.
Speaking of projectiles, like in an earlier episode when he was trying to find out like which suit he was going to use, and he had that like the B suit or whatever. And
the stingers.
The stingers. Yeah. He accidentally shoots stingers into this lady's car. It's freaking hilarious. Like, I'm sorry.
My bad.
But yeah, so back to this. We get to see the fight against well, basically everything goes down. And then Spider-Man, because in the whole attempt to find Doc Ock, because they've all pinpointed. Well, Norman has pinpointed Doc Ock as the person making these weapons, and as Arson said, they pinpointed it with it was Peter that kind of threw up the gamma radiation thing, and so they tracked gamma radiation, which led them to Scorpion, and so in this whole time, you know, Norman is looking for Doc Ock's place and not really fully in the fight when Spider-Man gets there. Like, he has this thing in his earpiece in talking to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man wraps things up nicely, sprays him down with his webbing, and then all of a sudden Norman just says, okay, puts his earpiece down and goes to work. And
unbeknownst to everybody in the room, the suit is powered by gamma radiation. So Scorpion gets extremely peeved, completely just dissolves the webs, and then, Peter just kind of like realizes that he has no webs anymore, so that's kind of a problem.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And everything just really goes downhill from there to like probably one of the most brutal beatdowns I feel like any Spider-Man has received in a long time, and honestly left me a little disturbed, because this is high school, Peter, and
freshman high school.
Yeah, Scorpion just starts the most malicious combo off by trying to drop a pillar on him, a steel beam. He catches it, but then, like, you see the Scorpion stinger like sailing towards him, and like I thought like, oh, it's just gonna graze him, and like, it's gonna cut up like his shoulder, or like, maybe even hit him on the side of the mask. No, it goes straight through his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I was gobsmacked. I actually had to do a double take and after the episode was over, rewind and actually see if that really happened, because that was so visceral. And then Peter's scream,
it felt so genuine.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
It was so
like I thought him getting like his like like the side of his visor cracked, like he punched out like one of his lenses.
Yeah,
like I thought that was the worst it was gonna get.
No,
I was dead wrong.
He beat the living tar out of him, and just everything that happened to him. Finally, when the suit gets punctured like that, though, there's an alert that goes to Norman's iPad or whatever it is, tablet.
That shouldn't be possible. It's possible.
and he comes back in, and like he's literally like, help. like Peter's absolutely terrified.
That scene where he's like on the ground and Scorpion's walking toward him while like dragging his tail on the floor. I was like, no, that's bad.
If this wasn't a Spider-Man show, I would have been 100% certain that they would have just straight up killed Peter there.
Oh yeah.
If this wasn't if this is like, hey guys, we're gonna make a new show for kids, and they show the main character get that brutally beaten. Like I'm with Assassin. That scene genuinely made me uncomfortable because I was like, this is like a 16-year-old.
Yeah, he was begging. He was scared.
The screams, the genuine fear in his voice. I was so shocked.
But it was believable though.
It was. That's what made it so good.
Like his voice acting, man, was amazing.
I absolutely love this Peter's voice actor. He put his heart and soul into getting stabbed.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
He put his heart and soul. And his name is Hudson Thames, I think his name is.
Almost make it seem like he actually got stabbed in the studio while doing his voice line.
Yeah.
Someone just snuck up on him and stabbed him in the back.
But I'll tell you this. If you guys are listening to this and you're sitting there thinking, man, what the heck? Like, did that really happen? Check like it when you get to episode 7, that's when all the crap hits the fan. And if it wasn't for Norman, Spider-Man would have been 100% dead.
He would have bitten it.
Yeah.
And like that's just so like that just makes it like because like it's such an like indecisive like positioning on where to put this particular Spider-Man in comparing him to the other ones.
Yeah.
No, comparing him to the other Spider-Mans, like the animated ones specifically, because those Spider-Mans haven't really been viscerally, beaten and stabbed like that. Like, sure, like, in like take Spectacular for example, like he and Venom were like fighting like basically for an entire episode, and Peter was more or less fine. Like he was beaten, sure, like he was beaten a lot to the point where he had to rely on the serum to like permanently put Venom down, but he was okay. Like he got thrown through buildings, he got thrown through floors,
but he was still unscathed. Like
like
for the
like
most part,
his suit was still fine for the most part. Whereas like this, it is crazy. It really is crazy.
Well, they showed the suit in the beginning of the 8th episode, and it is like it's bad. Like the way it looks, it's like it's you can't use this anymore. It's retired. It's done. We're gonna have to burn it. But
honestly, for the best.
But the thing is in that episode of 7 at the end when Norman actually saves him, it's not like Norman goes there and gets there fast enough to get him out of there. He sends his trademark.
The Goblin glider, although it's just the glider at this point, but we all know what it's really going to be used for later on.
As soon as you see him launch that thing, you're just like, oh, like, oh.
And it's just even more like terrifying for Peter because like, even though he gets saved by Norman, like, he like Norman hits Scorpion dead on in the face, so he's kind of like blindsided, so he can't really do it. He's swinging his tail and he's vowing how he's going to freaking kill him, and all Peter could do is just cling on to that glider like his life depends on it because it literally does.
Yeah, and he barely gets to climb up there and he escapes.
What was Scorpion's name for? It was like Arachna, or is it just Arachnid?
Aranya or something like that.
Aranya, that's what it is.
Yeah, because he
used Aranya.
Yeah, because he used Spanish to do that. But I really like Matt Gargan's character in this, especially because of how brutal he was, and it just really gave Spider-Man his like. Okay, he's had some tough battles up to this point, but nothing prepared him for this. Like he got completely like at first you're like, yeah, he won, good job, until he didn't. And you're like, oh crap.
And even then, you see like the gamma radiation like searing Gargan's flesh too. Like, crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up because like when he breaks free of Spider-Man's webbing is when that happens like to full effect. And literally the tail gets complete, like his armor and stuff gets seared into his skin. Like it's just like permanent. So like, to be fair, in the original storyline, Mac Gargan did get his suit. I'm pretty sure it was from Doc Ock, right? Like he's the one that, because he blamed Doc Ock or no, was it Doc Ock? Anyways,
it was Jonah.
Yeah, it was Jonah.
Oh, it was Jonah.
He funded.
It was a government funded. It was government.
Yeah,
it was the government. Yeah,
to get Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yep.
So he blamed that on Jonah. That's right. But to this point, Jonah hasn't even been like introduced.
Nope.
Which is honestly kind of weird. I was like, that's what I felt like was missing from the show. It was such like whiplash. I'm like, okay, any second now we're gonna cut to like either a news channel or like a billboard or something like Spider-Man's a menace.
Well, it's funny because in the 9th episode, it's titled Hero or Menace, and I was thinking that's where they're gonna do it. That because I kept waiting.
Yeah.
But before we get that far into it, so at the end of that episode, Peter's really fighting for his life, kind of. I mean, maybe not fighting for his life fully, but he's beaten pretty bad.
He got the snot kicked out of him.
Yeah. So Norman, and this is when we see the Norman that I felt like was going to come through eventually, anyways. But
secretly takes a vial of his blood during the emergency surgery.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Peter saw it. But
if he did, I feel like he either should have brought it up or like should have like made a mental note. You thought he would have like talked about it with Harry at least.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was just like because like also at the same time this was when he was still beaten. So like maybe he thought he was like hallucinating or all that, or they were doing something so they could do tests.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I thought that they had taken his blood to like do a test or something.
Well, to this point, that's all it is, right? Because we don't know what happens next, right?
Yeah.
So
if Peter really wanted to confront him about it, he would have.
Yeah, I just feel like because when it showed him taking his blood, it kind of like he looked down, and then you like as his eyes closed, it kind of like went black for a second, and then so that's why I was thinking he saw it, but maybe he didn't put two and two together.
Maybe he also forgot. I mean, he got rattled.
Yeah. So, this episode is all about how he became so shaken. And this is also the episode where you get to see that cover of Spider-Man throwing away his suit and like, giving up. But in this episode, he does not do that, but he is shaken. So we literally see in the next stepping of this storytelling, General Ross gets the location of Octavius's base because Norman wants to do it, I guess the right way, I'm thinking, but there's some things like, hey, if this happens, we get all his stuff, basically.
Can we just skip ahead a little bit? I just love Doc Ock's almost like classic Disney villain
dancing around.
I thought he was I thought this was gonna be like a musical for a second.
How he swings across and throws his arms out.
Yeah, just playing around with all of the officers and it's just hilarious. I love Doc, and I honestly just can't wait to see him in action once he finally gets his other arms. He's gonna be a great villain. I can already tell.
Do you guys think that they're gonna do the one older storyline where Doc Ock tries to marry Aunt May?
His aunt.
They'll try and do that. Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Hope not.
Maybe I don't think they will.
Maybe if they want to do like a filler episode in like a future season where Peter's having a nightmare, like that whole episode is a nightmare of his villains becoming a part of his daily life.
Well,
it's not they already are, but
Doc Ock,
Peter instead of Spider-Man.
Doc Ock comes just on like a coffee date with Aunt May.
No, he just comes back, Peter comes back home from school, Doc Ock is just like, oh, hey, champ.
How you doing?
Are you in a newspaper or something?
Yeah.
Got a pipe.
His other arms are cooking.
Yeah, all the arms are cooking breakfast and doing chores.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But I will say this: I think we saw a little foreshadowing from the previous episode, from when everything got fused to Matt Gargan. I think that's kind of what's going to happen. Like he's going to put the arms on, not thinking that they're going to be fused to him, and they're going to get fused to him because of that. I think. Of course,
And
that's
then
not happened.
He's gonna go cuckoo crazy.
Yeah,
Mad.
yeah. All right, so yeah, that scene is great. Like seeing him dance around and like he uses his arms actually in there to do some stuff and
Yep.
it's kind of funny because granted they're not attached to him or anything, but he uses all his equipment in there to get out, and he gets out of the garage, and all of a sudden there's Ross with a few people, and then he basically looks at them like, you guys are peasants, you're not going to do anything, and all of a sudden he walks and Iron Man just drops right in front of him.
Surprise guest star.
Yeah, and it's the same voice that did the Disney series Iron Man, the second one, not the first one, which I thought that was kind of cool. I think his name is like Mick Wingard or something like that.
It was a pleasant surprise seeing Iron Man. Honestly, I really wasn't expecting any other like MCU characters aside from Daredevil, but like seeing Iron Man was definitely a pleasant surprise.
Because we got Daredevil, we got Doctor Strange, and then we got
Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
and we only really saw Captain America in like the news report for the Sokovia Accords with the Civil War.
Oh, we saw Ant-Man too, but that was also in the action of Civil War.
Basically. Well, no, we basically saw a small snippet of the Civil War with like a bunch of different like, which I wonder how like that's all like shaping out.
And that's in that, yeah. I wonder how much is that going to play a part of it in the next season?
Who knows?
Who knows?
How are they going to handle Thanos?
Oh, jeez.
Because that happens pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll see.
Unless they cut that storyline completely, but like everything leading up to Civil War was because of Thanos.
Yeah.
If they do, Peter better have the black suit because I want that. I want black suit Peter to join the Avengers to fight Thanos.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this: in that episode that we were talking about, Don and all those guys find out that they need to get tech, so they're trying to figure out who to talk to, and lo and behold, they introduce another one of Spider-Man's villains in the form of a guy named Dmitri, one of the Russians that was running with the other guys from the chameleon. Of course, we don't see anything about like disguise wise. He's just wearing that mask that shows the traditional chameleon mask. And stuff like that. So, but they find out about where to go, and that brings us to the next episode. But before we get there, I want to talk about something that happened to Peter because he was so shaken, and Norman really hit him hard with some stuff. Like you're pulling your punches. They're not going to do that to you. You need to do that. And then he brings out a line that is synonymous with Spider-Man going all the way back, and it gets changed and butchered, and I can't stand it. But from anybody else, I can actually understand it coming from Norman because it's Norman, but it's with great power comes great respect. And I'm like, you son of a like, no.
Yeah, that was like flipping it on his head. That was honestly a pretty good moment because
I love that speech because it's like
it's planting the seed.
Yeah.
It's Norman being like, hey, you have this power. You can clearly you can finish every fight you've been in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
But you hold back. Go all the way. I love that he's pushing Peter to think like that because obviously as the audience, we know that one, that's not what Peter wants. And two, what would happen if Peter does that? You know what I mean? Like in the moment.
I wonder what happens. I wonder.
Mighty close. He was actually going to full send it before Lonnie stopped him. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, going back to it, honestly, I could see why people, you don't like that. But like, it is like a nice way of like flipping it on its head to because I feel like later on, like as the series continues, then we'll probably get that saying in its full glory. But like, to have Norman be like the kind of almost like the little devil on like Peter's shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Like although Norman isn't like fully like trying to make Peter miserable, he's definitely using him.
Yeah.
It's part ways like kind of helping him, but it's mostly using him to like, get Spider-Man army.
Right.
How I see it is that Norman he wants Peter to be happy. Like he wants Peter to be the Spider-Man that Peter wants to be, but he's also thinking, how can I turn this into some sort of bottom line for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a selfish endeavor for him too. Yeah.
Like I'm helping you, but like at the end of the day, I still want to help myself.
I think at the moment, okay, so how I see it, it's like a scale, right? Him wanting to help Peter is at the higher end of the scale now, but as the series goes forward, I think it's gonna even out. And then by the time that hey, this matters more to me than me helping you, I think that's when we're finally going to see the Goblin.
Oh yeah,
coming at impasse.
I don't think we're going to see the Goblin for a few seasons. I think they're going to push that to like season 3.
I'm sure it'll be a slow burn thing.
Yeah, but with Disney though, you got to be careful because they can end their seasons really fast and just not pick it back up. So I don't want them to hold on to it too long.
We already know what they did to the last Spider-Man show that we loved so dearly.
So that being said, the end of this episode, the episode ended with Harry saying, "Peter, you need to get back out there," blah blah blah, and he's like, "I don't have a suit," and he's like, "Oh, well, I got something for you, buddy." And it basically ends with the reflection you see in Peter's glasses. And the next episode starts off with Norman visiting Octavius in the prison, gloating about all his involvement and everything else. And
he's so petty. Like that little extra move of him pulling out like the handkerchief so he doesn't touch the phone with his hand.
Yeah. Well, not to mention when he brings up about like Iron Man, Tony Stark is the one that took you down. like, oof, wow. So yeah.
Then it goes back to me saying, like, man, Doc Ock can really knock someone's lights out because he cracked that glass.
Yeah.
He is Silver Age freaking Doc Ock, man. I missed him. He's a great guy. Like,
I'm glad they got him. Like,
yeah, he's my favorite iteration of the character. And
they really dumbed him down a lot because they made his strength more about his arms than his extra arms rather than himself. And so after that, we get the 1/10 attempting to hijack said technology that we were talking about earlier. And a whole lot of crap happens. Gargan and his group show up and a big brawl ensues. And all this stuff happens where Scorpions just really like lighten everybody up. And in the meantime, Spider-Man shows up to save his bestie. And
it was like a whole thing. Like it happened in the previous episode, like where Peter sends like this whole message apologizing to her. And like it was a really sweet moment because then like in the episode following, she finally listens to it and like it's all nice. And then like before she's about to get squashed, run over, she gets saved at the last second, which is interesting because like her amulet kind of also went off.
Yeah.
Which I feel like was kind of a mix of like, Peter coming in clutch for one, and then like, the amulet kind of, I don't know. It was like a stars align type of thing, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And he gets her to safety while, they're the 1/10 and the Scorpions are still having their squabble. And they patch things up, and that was a really nice moment.
Yeah,
but, getting back into it.
The end of that episode I really did like with them, but we'll get to that here in a second. But yeah, going back to the fight after he gets her to safety, he jumps back in and starts webbing up everybody, and then somehow they just mysteriously got unwebbed. Because did you notice that? Like when Gargan got there and they were like getting ready to face off, none of them was webbed up, and they were all back like with Big Don. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
So they battle, and a lot of stuff happens, and then Donovan basically sees how he sees how the Scorpion's doing, and he's like, "Nope, I'm done." He jumps in a vehicle and drives off, and then that leaves Lonnie sitting there like, what am I gonna do? So he tries to get to the truck. Go ahead.
Yeah, he gets to the truck and then he gets gassed because he
gets
knocks
gassed.
something over clumsily.
Yeah,
But going to Scorpion wanting the rematch with Peter, I feel so bad for Peter because he's actually visibly scared and nervous at first because knows exactly what happened last time.
He's terrified.
But he's still he's still got heart. He didn't pull a Don and run. He still stood 10 toes down and still fought. But he was a little bit more anxious about it.
Well, it just goes to show you, 15-year-old Peter held his ground when Don just was like, "Nope, I'm out."
He's got heart, man. He's got heart.
So he literally, like, you start to see kind of like the same thing happening with this fight. Lonnie gets gassed. He falls out, and kind of like Peter goes to him to try to be like, are you okay? And then basically Scorpion grabs Peter around the neck and pulls him up, and a lot of things change after that. Like, a lot of things. Who wants to talk about Lonnie's transformation and everything?
Oh, with him socking Scorpion.
He breaks his tail.
Yeah, he just breaks it like that power up was near instant. Like, that must have been Doc Ock's top shelf.
Yeah.
Top shelf product right there.
Or he didn't know what he had.
Super strength cocaine.
Yep.
but it was crazy because he literally ripped the tip of his tail off. Like, just broke it. It was crazy.
And then the greatest double team, man.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, but then Scorpion, like, after you think he's beaten, of course he comes back and drops a bunch of rubble and like whatever it is. Just and drops it straight on Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie, I think he dropped it on both, and then Lonnie pushed Spider-Man out of the way.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
And so then, Peter decided he wasn't going to hold back. Then go ahead.
Yeah, that's when he took off the gloves.
Yeah,
honestly, whether he took them off himself or whether they came off from him beating his face.
Yeah, but during that time though, he was having flashbacks of Norman telling him, like, agging this on, like, you got to do this, and it was like feeding into it.
Finish it.
Yeah. So he's just like beating the living crap out of him, and he grabs his tail and he's gonna stab him with his own tail. And
when oops, sorry, go ahead.
No. I thought you were gonna finish it. Go ahead, Graham. Finish what happens next.
Well, no. I was just gonna go off on my own thing.
Oh, well, so Lonnie pops up in front of him and says, "Dude, this isn't you. People look up to you. You need to stop. He's done. He's finished." And so ended that fight. Like, he realized that, like, what the world did I just do? Like, but it was really interesting to see the other
what he was about to do. I feel like it's a little justified beating Scorpion down a peg.
I agree, but he was ready. He was more than ready to kill him. Like, he was going to.
Oh yeah. When I finished it, the series for the first time, and I was talking with Assassin, I straight up was like, I'm not gonna lie, Spider-Man should have stabbed him. Maybe not kill him. He should have stabbed him though. I feel like that was fully justified considering what just happened. I feel like it would have been a really interesting I guess twist, because it would have been Peter playing into what Norman wants, but it still would have been Peter not wanting to go too far if he picks up the tail and just rams it through, like, Scorpion's leg or something, Oh,
but like, dude, picture this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Picture this.
No, you're fine.
So he did that, right? Say he does. And now their previous fight, it was completely in the dark. Nobody knew. But this was out on the streets.
Enter J. Jonah
Jameson.
To
Jameson. Oh,
dude,
that would have been perfect.
That would have been a good way into that. You knew exactly where I was going with that too.
And even then, that would make J. Jonah actually justified, like in the right in a way. yeah. It wouldn't make him like, yeah, no, he's funny, he's Spider-Man. Yeah. But that would make it like an interesting dynamic where like, hey, J. Jonah, maybe he's slandering your name a little bit too much, but he's not exactly wrong. Like, you did stab a dude in the leg with like a 3-foot long scorpion stinger.
I mean, picture that though. Dude, we should have been writing for this. That
exactly. Would have been awesome. That's what I'm saying.
That would have been awesome. With me just thinking that, because you said stabbing him in the leg, and that it led me straight to J. Jonah Jameson, like completely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that would have been pretty cool the way that happened, but it didn't. Unfortunately, maybe it's in another timeline. Unfortunately, but so after that, we see Peter meet up with Nico. Well, first we see like the police are coming, and Spider-Man says, "Lonnie, you better get out of here," and Lonnie says, "You probably should do the same." And so that happens.
It makes me a bit sad because I feel like making sure Spider-Man doesn't go fully down the route that he probably will probably be Lonnie's like last great thing that he does before he really starts going downhill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that makes me sad.
It really does. I hope they really turn that around. If they do make him a villain, I hope they redeem him quick, because he doesn't deserve that. Like, to me, I think Lonnie was one of my favorite characters in all of the show. Because he was such a wholesome dude. And that first scene where you see him walking, like taking the train and all that, walking back to his house. Of course, Disney had to fit some of their agenda in there, but it also there's a lot of truth to that, So seeing him and the prejudice out there, and everything that happened, it's like, man, they really gripped you around him early on. You know what I mean? You were really rooting for Lonnie, and then as they separate, they go on their own, and Spider-Man goes to check on Nico. She completely forgives him, and that's what else happens. That's right. So towards the end of the episode, Norman meets with his top scientists, including Whitman. And if you don't know who Whitman is, I was doing some interesting research on this to look up different characters that they were, to see who they had. Do you know who Whitman is? The snotty freaking dude that was dealing with the interns. Do you know who that was?
Oh yeah, the prick.
Yeah, but do you know? Do you know who he is?
Vaguely. Wait, hold on. Is he the dude that started the Clone Saga?
So he is a supervillain referred to as the Wizard, or the Wingless Wizard is another one that he goes by.
The Wizard! The Cheese Wizard.
The cheese. Oh my gosh.
Zombie all along.
It's been zombie. Okay, I wasn't going down that path, but yeah. So, but they completely changed him around because he was like a stage magician and an escape artist, but now he's a scientist and blah blah blah. But I found that interesting that they were using those characters, because when I saw him, I was like, I wonder what else they have in there, and I didn't really go down too far in that path. But anyways, he's meeting with several Oscorp scientists, and they're working on a bunch of secret projects, which obviously, Norman's not very open about that with anybody of that. But one of those is literally the one trying to replicate Spider-Man's powers. And it literally shows a spider being injected with Peter's blood. Now, the spider that they inject with Peter's blood is the exact same spider that lands on Peter in the first episode. Have no idea how it happened at this point, but it is. And it closes that episode, and we come to the final episode of the season, and it's
If This Be My Destiny. What a baller episode name. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I really do love that they like flip the whole like because like when you see Strange and like I guess like the symbiote alien at the beginning, you think this is like some multiverse shenanigans and all that stuff.
It was so random.
But like, but like and then you keep thinking that until like this final point where at the very end they like flip that curveball on its head. And it turns out it was actually like a time loop.
Yep.
Which was
what a twist. So relieved that it is not messing with the multiverse stuff because I'm so tired of the multiverse. I'm so happy that it's just time travel.
I think they're tired of the multiverse too. They're trying to get rid of it now.
Yeah.
I was half expecting either my boy Spot or Miguel to just pop out somewhere and be like, "You don't I'm gonna kill you."
So you basically the beginning of the episode, Norman actually has all the interns together and reveals that all the projects that they've been doing for the internship is literally, which of course Amadeus Cho already figured it out because he is a genius, and he will let you know that. But they've been doing this to create a gateway to space. And all of a sudden they're like, start it up. And this big old portal like turns on and Norman's like, haha, see, it works. And the dude, what's his face, from the one guy that plays the wizard or is the wizard, he flat out was like, or Whitman, that's his name. He goes, we haven't turned it on. And all of a sudden here you see everything coming back full circle, Strange coming through the portal and saying, you can't do this. Don't do this. It's ridiculous, and
which is like a little bit more of leading on because like I really thought for a second that this was an alternate Strange instead of the Strange that we saw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was just Strange from like a different point in time.
And Peter's like, that's the guy, or that's the guy, and Norman's like, is that the guy that attacked the high school? Like,
and then Strange is just like, what are you people talking about? I don't know any of you.
Yeah.
And then Norman starts pulling the high and mighty card.
Yeah. So
you think you're better than us because you have magic.
So they get the gate activated. And anybody want to talk about what happens next after the activation? No? All right, well.
Our slimy friends come through.
Yeah. And that starts the battle that we've seen, basically. Okay, so you see a lot of, like, fighting going on. Everybody clears out, and Peter gets away and gets Spider-Man in there. And it's Spider-Man and Strange versus this symbiote. Symbiotic alien, if you would. And turns out, they're fighting them in this little area, and then Strange opens up this portal to the where does he open it up to? The
past?
No, not the past, but the before that. He throws him into like space, like this area where he can't get out of, and Peter goes in with him. And he's like, you gotta be kidding me. Pulls him back out.
Oh.
And then he opens up the portal, and then pulls him down, and then that's the time. Like, literally, at the time, you don't know until you see all the stuff happening again. So they go back in time, and all the stuff in the first episode happens. And as the portal's closing, you see the spider coming down, and it's literally the spider that has Peter's blood in it is the one that made Spider-Man, or Peter Spider-Man, which makes my brain explode. Because Peter Parker made Peter Parker Spider-Man.
It kind of brings into question how that temporal loop started in the first place.
Right. I wonder if they're going to add to that, or if they're just going to leave it there.
They're probably going to leave it there.
Well,
I hope they leave it there, just because it leaves enough for us to be like, oh yeah, well, how'd the loop start? But then it's also good enough to be like, all right, this is the starting point. We're just going to keep going on with the story.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's crazy because so when they get
back in from Midtown High back into the portal, and where we are left off in the dark in the first episode, it picks up where they go through. And at that time, Peter's trying to depower, like he's trying, like Strange said, you need to work on this. I'll take care of him. We need to get this depowered, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, I think I got it, you know, so he's trying to pull all these things out to make it to where it just like shuts off. And then Strange is trying to get everything back to normal. Well, they get the symbiote thrown back into the portal, and it like splits off into a bunch of different heads, like a bunch of them, and they start coming towards the portal. And right before they can get through, Spider-Man depowers it and it crashes down. And as it completely shuts down, nothing gets through at all, and it's perfectly fine, right, guys?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Sure wasn't anything strange or symbiotic or
yeah,
tentacle-esque.
Something that may have been venomous. We don't know.
Yeah.
So
we don't know.
As the portal shuts down, a little piece of the Venom symbiote gets cut off into the universe, or cut off into the world, and nothing is really said about that at that point. And basically, you know, Peter and Strange they go back, like, well, so Peter finds Strange at Midtown, and they're like talking about this stuff, and Peter's wanting to know his future because he's like, if you've seen the future, how do I turn out? He's like, I think you're on a good path. He's like, even if I knew, I couldn't tell you, you know. And so they had like a little bonding. It's funny because Strange was like, who are you? And he was like, Pete, and he's like, I'm Spider-Man. Like, yeah.
I'm Pete Spider-Man.
Yeah. I expected Strange to be like, well, nice to meet you, P Spider-Man, but you know, no, but so after that ends, you know, world gets back to somewhat normal-ish. What's her face? Nico, like they're all sitting around and Nico tells Harry, you know, because they're like, are you gonna go back to Oscorp, talking to Peter? And Peter's like, nah, I don't know. And he threw his badge down to Harry and says, I don't think I can do that. And then Nico's like, well, you should just start your own company. And he's like, well, I could. I have the backing.
He's like, yeah, Peter was like, wait, can we honestly do that? And like Harry's like, yeah, no, we can do that.
It's doable.
We have the budget for that.
So
yeah, you know, that's when the invitations all get sent out to like even to Peter's colleagues when he worked at Oscorp.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Cho is the one who doesn't accept it. He's still there.
And he's still at Oscorp. Yep.
He's still Oscorp.
He had his own office too, it looked like.
Yeah, he had his own office as well. It was interesting. You know, everybody does their own thing. You know, just kind of genuinely wrapping up everybody's arcs, or setting some up for like the next season and all that. Now that Nico is cool with Peter and everything, she also now covers for him when he's out doing Spider-Man stuff, which is nice.
Saved him on that final.
Yeah, which is nice. I really like that they're embracing that more, because it is frustrating when like Peter really just doesn't trust anybody. Even when he does, he never trusts them to like have his back when like he's doing his Spider-Man thing.
I mean, to be fair, in this he didn't trust anybody either. They all found out. So you know, but I will say this. So Harry creates this company called the Worldwide Engineering Brigade, or WEB for short. And after he sends out the invites, like you said, Amadeus declined, but it's quite interesting because I didn't even put this together till the end. Jean, one of the other interns, was literally hanging out with Daredevil.
Yeah, and an apprentice almost, I think.
Well, so Jean is literally the superhero Finesse, and she was undercover at Oscorp, because of Daredevil asked her to, and
And I had no idea that was who that was until the end. And it was like, wow, they got me with that one. And then they were like, well, Daredevil says, I think you should accept that invite from Harry, and we can keep them under surveillance. Because, looks like Junior's going into what Senior was doing is basically what she said. And then when you think that reveal's not enough, then you see Lonnie, who is now the new leader of the 110th Street gang, starting to see like peeling of his skin to where it looks like completely white underneath. And I don't mean like white as in like Caucasian. I mean like the color white.
Stone.
Yeah, and so of course people who know Tombstone's background know where this is going, but it's kind of cool. So the last thing you see is him, like they pull up to get him. He gets behind the driver's seat, and then the last thing you see of him is him throwing away his Letterman's jacket from his high school in the garbage as they drive off.
That broke my heart, man.
Yeah, it did. It did me too.
Shattered me. And then you get like everybody's like setups and all that, and then you get the absolute biggest reveal, which could turn out the story in probably the most interesting way possible, with May visiting none other than Peter's father, who is still alive but in jail.
That blew my mind.
Raises a lot of very concerning questions.
Yeah.
Originally, as still now, Peter's parents were spies.
Yep.
They were spies. They were killed. They were great friends with Wolverine.
Yeah.
But to see that Peter's dad is still alive, it really could shape out the story in such an interesting way, and I really hope that they execute it perfectly, because something like this hasn't really ever been done, and how Peter's dad can shape the way the story goes, that's just how interesting the show is to me, because it always throws me a curveball that I never expect, because they always do something different. Like some of the beats are the same, like a lot of the arcs with the villains and all that. It's basically beat for beat, but it's always in these little different ways. And like Peter's dad being in the picture is a pretty big way of changing the landscape.
Oh yeah,
because they don't know that Peter is Spider-Man, but obviously Peter's dad is up to something shady, because otherwise why would he be in jail? And May has kept this a secret from Peter for all of his life.
Why is he in jail though?
That's what I want to know. But May hasn't told him for all of his life. Probably told him that his parents died. But no, he's there. Not only is he alive, but he's nearby in a prison somewhere, probably Rikers. And it really raises so many questions that I really want to be answered in the second season.
It's just so crazy to think that they kept him alive. And granted, in the original animated series, in the 90s, they ended up being alive. In a way. But it was crazy that, Richard Parker is alive, and I would think it would be interesting if they would tie somehow Norman, for some reason, somehow got him in there. And maybe it'll introduce somebody else like the Kingpin or something,
Maybe, who knows? Maybe it's its own complete unique thing that has no ties to any villains. Maybe,
yeah. Maybe
Richard is just kind of doing his own thing, for better or for worse. Who knows?
Well, all I know is it's an interesting ending to the season. They literally ended it with that. That was it. You see Spider-Man doing his thing, but it's pretty much he's flying, he's web slinging about with that, about his own business and going on. And I just thought, look, if I was to give a rating to this, and you guys know I've talked a lot of smack about some of the stuff on it, I was debating this, and I would probably have to give this an 8 out of 10 to me, even with the stuff that I have, differences of it. I really enjoyed this series, especially the second watch through. Like, it's definitely got its playability when you rewatch it. But I really did like it. What about you guys? Where would you rate that on your out of a 10 scale?
Yeah, I'd have to say probably an 8. Like there are some issues here and there. Like I know we've praised it so far, but like there are some small issues, that.
Mm-hmm.
But like aside from that, like the good definitely outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
There's also like tiny Easter eggs and stuff, and like that little endings. I know Grim was probably relieved, but I'm gonna bring back up the trauma. You see like after Strange and Spidey get done talking, you see the Watcher in the distance.
Oh
like,
yeah,
watching from the stars.
Yeah,
which was also an interesting point. But like, I honestly hope that it's just like an Easter egg. But I feel like it's probably gonna be like an excuse to drag this certain Peter into like something, whatever that is. That's completely up to Marvel. But
he's gonna show up in the Secret Wars movie. No.
But like no, yeah, it's just like like a whole bunch of neat little interesting stuff. And then of course, before I forget, I love that in the final episode, because like in the episode before, like when he fought Scorpion for the last time, it still showed him in his future Foundation suit. In the final intro for the final episode, you see him in his glorious red and blue suit for the final episode of season 1, and it's
the final 2 episodes. He gets it at the end of episode 8 and has it in 9
but like
and 10.
I'm saying in terms of the intro.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's okay. Good point. Yeah, because in 9 it kind of shows it. Yeah, a little different. Yeah, you're right. Okay, got you.
Yeah, but yeah, no, we get the glorious red and blue like way earlier before.
It's so good that cover.
Which I was confused because why are they still showing the Future Foundation? It's dead.
Yeah.
We have the glorious red and blue, and the following episode, the intro, and I'm like, oh yeah, now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like the little attention to detail with that. I really do. I hope they keep that up.
Yeah.
I do know one thing. I heard that in season 2, they are introducing Gwen Stacy. Yep. So that's the only thing I know.
Honestly, it's a mixed bag, but then again, I've been pleasantly surprised. Yeah. I don't exactly have high hopes for freaking Spider-Gwen again.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm cautiously optimistic about that because I feel like introducing another Spider person into the fold on top of everything else is a little
way too soon.
I think we'll get more traditional Gwen Stacy to me.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I thought it was like very heavily hinted at that she was going to be Spider-Gwen.
Because like like people who are complaining about it, like I can understand because it's another Spider person. But the thing is, when the spider bit Peter, it got away. It didn't die.
It didn't die. Yeah.
It stowed away on someone else's pack, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
So that also left it up in the air as to who it could have bitten. Like it could have bitten, it could have been Gwen. It could have bitten Cindy. It could have even bitten Miles, even though that it wouldn't have given him, the unique bioelectricity. But like still, like there were many candidates. Heck, it could have. Like with the way the show went, I was honestly expecting like the spider probably would have bitten someone new.
Yeah,
maybe it would have been Harry.
Well, Ned, Spider Ned, Spider Ned.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, like to bring that, like, yeah, people are complaining about it that it's Spider-Gwen, but to be fair, it was basically very heavily confirmed that there was going to be another spider person with the way the spider got away. So
well, it would make sense too, because of what Norman was doing with the testing. It couldn't, maybe not even that spider. It may have been another spider that they tested on Gwen or something. Being sneaky like he is. We don't know. But one thing is for certain, at the end of everything, when all said and done, when he got done with his project with Pearl and person that surprised me that gave them an A-. I can't think of her name, but literally like through the whole episode. So the Pearl thing, I know it's a little late, but Pearl was basically Peter's babysitter, you know, when he was like 12 or whatever, 11 and a half or whatever it was. And she was only a couple years older than him, but, you know, she always called him Petey through the whole season until that last scene. And she was just like, you know, good job, Peter, or whatever. And he looked back and was like, did you just call me Peter? And she's like, yeah, you know. And so I kind of want to see if they're going to like hook those two up as a couple, because it'd be completely different. And the way they've been going, it seems like it could be, you know, pretty different. So,
oh boy, another relationship that Peter has that Marvel can flub up.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we can never have Peter happy.
As long as it's not Mary Jane, I'll be fine.
Dude, you're like, it's like the spectrum is out of whack. There are so many people that just want Peter and MJ to finally just be happy, which I guess they technically are in the Ultimate Universe. I guess the Reborn Ultimate Universe. Like 616 is an absolute mess. There are people, you know, who just want Peter and MJ to never be a thing ever again.
That's not me. I want traditionalists. I'm more of a traditionalist that want that.
And then there's Grim over here who's just like, let it be anybody else other than MJ, please.
Anyone else but MJ.
Oh. Well, all I know is
honestly, I'm the kind of guy who's just like, it's whatever. I'm a pretty big fan of, like, you know, like when the relationship is good, because like
never
like when you see it often, like, yeah, which is basically most of the time now, like MJ and Peter's relationship is terrible. But like when it's like actually good, like you can tell that, you know, they are great together. They're soulmates and all that. But like when they've butchered it so much. Where
they're great together when Mary Jane isn't awful.
It's just whatever, man.
Well, let's just
I don't know why the writers did that, dude. Oh my. Okay, sorry. What are you saying?
No, we didn't get your rating, Grim, before we exit out. So what do you rate the series?
Honestly, like you guys, 8 out of 10. And even then, my only problems are like just little nitpicks and stuff. My biggest stuff is with the symbiote, but like, again, we just don't really have anything to go off. I do want to ask you guys a question. Doesn't matter how far along it'll be, what is one villain you are excited to see in this series?
Honestly, go ahead. You can go first.
Mysterio.
Really?
That's a good one.
Honestly, I really want to see a traditional Green Goblin.
I mean, that's basically guaranteed to happen.
Well, yeah.
But
that's the thing, is I want to see Green Goblin in his glory, not monstrous Green Goblin. I want a Green Goblin with the purple cap, and you know, I just want, you know,
Spider-Man. You're too late, Spider-Man.
But I mean, I want that. Besides that, I don't know. He's got such a big rogues gallery. You know,
I really do want Mysterio though, because like something that's also I forgot to mention, but is a thing that I really love, is like some of the shots when they do like comic panel stuff, and that reminds me of, like, you know, like the Ultimate Spider-Man game, and I love that so much. It's like, you know, like they do comic panel frames of, like, you know, people's reactions or like a certain scene happening.
Yeah,
I love that. It's good.
Mm-hmm. For me, now obviously Venom is my all-time favorite Spider-Man, but maybe shocked I'm not that hyped for Venom in this series. I'm actually very, very excited to see where they take the Lizard.
Oh yeah, that is true. I am interested about that as well, since they were developing like not just the spider thing, but they were developing multiple animal things for serums, which is, you know, we already know where that goes.
This is kind of a little side tangent. Why like I get the Lizard because of the whole regeneration tail thing, but crabs would have been so much more effective, considering they can just straight up regrow their full arms. Now, yeah, we'd get the crab instead of the Lizard, but I mean, I'm just saying.
Return the crab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, look,
okay.
Dr. Crab
I could have
Connors.
memed it, all right? I could have memed it and said I wanted to see Big Wheel or the Wall.
This is one wall you'll never crawl.
You know, I'll tell you who I there's a couple I would like to see. I would say above all else, is since we will see Green Goblin down the road, hopefully, it has to lean towards that. They've got too much to and tied into it already.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing like the Black Cat. See how they would play that out.
Interesting.
Because you know she is a villain, you know, at first. But also you got like Morbius and Craven. I wouldn't mind seeing them.
Time.
But yeah, overall, I think Black Cat would be an interesting one to have in their season 2, or you know, make it to where Peter's actually got a nice relationship going with Pearl, and all of a sudden here comes this Black Cat.
She's the Black Cat.
Oh my gosh! Well, I mean,
what a twist, dude! At this point, I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. But yeah, I mean, I think that's who I wouldn't mind seeing Black Cat. I like to see how they would portray her. What kind of costume they give her? Would they give her more updated, or would they go more traditional, or a mix? You know, of the two. Would they go Silver Age or whatever you want to call for that Black Cat? Because she looked a lot different than what she does now when it comes to the costume change. But I don't know. But yeah, to be fair, guys, can you believe 2 hours have passed? We've been on this for 2 hours.
Yeah, this has been our longest episode yet.
So
I was gonna say,
I have
it's
an
just
idea.
A solid series.
I have an idea.
I can't believe we were going to make this a short.
Yeah. But I do have an idea. We could either A, play it in its entirety, or B, since you won't be available in 2 weeks, we could split it into 2 episodes, part A, part B, and have it like I don't know.
Why would you do something so diabolical?
That would be hard because we would have like zombies in next week, so it'd be, you know, we'd have to wait a whole another week to have the second part. So, you know what? We'll just make it as our longest episode ever to date. And we'll put it all in the whole entirety. It'll take me about 48 hours just to edit it because of how long it is. But no big deal. So, but I mean,
no big deal, guys.
No big deal at all. But I've enjoyed this. This has been a great episode. To me, it's like honestly one of my favorites right now because just us going through this. You know, I thought it would may get a little tedious or whatever. And granted, yeah, we did make it a lot longer by going through some more of the stuff. So we it was
a lot to dig into. There was still a lot more to dig into.
Yeah.
But we just, you know,
we didn't get into it all. Not all of it. We got as much as we could, you know, thinking as we're going. But if you guys have not seen this series and you listen to this, don't let our opinion sway you. Maybe you'll think it's a 10 out of a 10, or maybe you think it's just complete trash, but you should make your own opinion and go watch it, because I'm telling you, when you get to that episode 7 where Spider-Man takes that bludgeoning, like he just like absolutely gets his tail whipped, literally gets whipped with the tail, but
gets stabbed.
Yeah, it stabs. But I'm just saying, man, you guys should definitely watch it. Let us know if you've already seen it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of our review, because I feel like maybe we should start doing a few more reviews of things down the road. You know, I think that'd be really cool. There's a lot of podcasts that do the review thing, but I don't want to make it our main thing, but I think every once in a while it'd be okay. So definitely want to review season 2 when it comes out in 15 years. So we'll make that a thing. But yeah, if you've got a comment you want to say or ask a question to us, we can try to get back to you. Leave it in the comments. If you want to know more about From the Ashes, we got that link in the description. Click on that. It may work still. Some of the links may not work, but
Yeah, no, they probably won't. You could see all of our Twitches on there, including some of the past members that I've still yet to take out. And all that merch. And we're gonna have a full body pillow of Arson coming out soon. And
oh no, that's not somebody you want to cuddle with.
I don't know. I think Grim would like to cuddle with you.
I mean, he threatened to hug all of us. He threatened to hug all of us once. So I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
We come out with these pillows and it turns out Grim has one of Arson and Arson has one of Grim.
I mostly use it for darts.
That's funny.
That's fair.
Wow. But all right, on that note, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. We'll be back next week. And next week, like I said, we're continuing the trend of 3 with myself, Arson, and as far as I know, Zombie. So we'll see you then. I hope you have a great week. Until then, just remember, with great power comes great respect. See ya.
Don't forget to invest in Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz.